How do you cure athlete's foot? Well, whether it's a fungal infection on the feet or toenail fungus, this is a condition that a huge number of people have. Many people suffer from it. They try all sorts of treatments, use ointments, creams, medications, but still don't get satisfactory results. So, sometimes the treatment works partially, sometimes the symptoms go away for a while, but then, after some time, the fungus comes back again. In other words, the treatment is incomplete. Why is that? What are we doing wrong? Let's figure it out together. The thing is, fungi are different from other microorganisms because their cell walls are particularly resilient. And because of this, fungi are not as sensitive to the human immune system, and they are also not affected by some medications like antibiotics. There are specific drugs for treating fungi. I sometimes call them antifungal antibiotics, but that's actually not the correct term. They're not antibiotics. They're antifungal chemical agents, medications that are used exclusively to treat fungal infections like Candida and Candidiasis. These medications act on fungal molecules. They target the fungal microorganisms and cause damage or destruction to these microorganisms. Essentially, they kill the fungus. But this works when there is a fungal infection somewhere in the upper part of the body, for example, on the face, or in the mouth, a fungal infection like candidiasis, or in other organs. But unfortunately, this approach definitely doesn't work effectively when it comes to treating issues in the extremities, specifically the feet or the nails, because these particular areas are quite far from the central core of the body and consequently have very poor, often insufficient, blood flow and circulation. And even when we use some really strong agents, chemical substances, chemical medications that are supposed to kill the fungus, these drugs don't always manage to destroy the fungus when we take them orally in tablet form, and they may only be able to eliminate the fungus when applied topically, for example, as creams or ointments. But without supporting our immune system, a full recovery from a fungal infection is not possible. So, what exactly needs to be done? How do you cure a fungal infection completely and for good? Alright, let me explain the method, what needs to be done. There are two essential factors. The first factor, in any case, to destroy the fungus, you need to target the fungal microorganism specifically. You need something, well, I call them antifungal medications, antifungal antibiotics. It could be terbinafine, it could be proconazole, clotrimazole, or other medications. They change every time. The medications need to be taken orally, meaning in tablet form. And the course of treatment must be strictly followed, depending on each specific medication. In other words, you need to take the full dose of these medicines. But you should keep in mind that these medications are very, very toxic, and such a course of treatment can negatively affect liver function, meaning it can lead to liver poisoning and, later on, the formation of cysts in the liver as areas damaged by some chemical substance, such as an antifungal drug. Therefore, taking the medication is mandatory. But there is one more condition. At the same time, I absolutely need to increase blood flow to my feet when I take antifungal medications, so that this course of treatment, so that the presence of this chemical in my blood, leads to the destruction of the microorganisms. In other words, so that the substance reaches the feet through the bloodstream. And for this, at the time of taking these antifungal medications, you can use a hot platform. Here, there's a termanium mat with little pyramids, which are used exclusively for foot massage. It heats up to a high temperature, up to 70 degrees. A person stands on these pyramids with bare feet, I repeat, it must be with bare feet, and starts shifting from foot to foot, massaging the soles. This kind of foot massage on the pyramids leads to the feet being massaged. More blood flows to a well-massaged foot. With the blood come these chemical substances that destroy the microorganisms. So, in such cases, massage kind of gives this, chemical substance the opportunity. Massage allows this chemical substance to reach its destination to fight the fungus. And people make two typical mistakes. They either just take medication, and then they don't get a complete result, the infection is only slightly suppressed and then flares up again. or people just do massage or warm up their feet. This boosts the immune system. But sometimes immunity alone isn't enough. To deal with a fungal infection, you also need chemical weapons to fight the fungal microorganisms. That's why you need to take antifungal medications, do massage, and warm up your feet all at the same time. And only in combination does this give a good result, allowing you to get rid of athlete's foot and nail fungus for good. This is the method called how to completely cure foot fungus.